Okay, let's get right into it. We need to talk about the cover letter. Because for those of us with a lot of experience under our belts, the rules have completely, totally changed. What used to be standard is now honestly a liability. So we're going to tear down the old way of thinking and build a new playbook for 2026. One that actually makes your experience a strategic weapon, not just a timestamp.
And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Every single person looking for a job is asking this. Are you just wasting your time, or is it the one thing that could get you in the door? Well, the advice is all over the map, but the data is starting to tell a very interesting story.
And here's why it's not a simple yes or no. A recent study found that 83% of hiring managers are actually reading cover letters again. I mean, that is a huge jump from just a few years ago. So yeah, skipping it could be a massive mistake. But, and you got to hear me on this, writing the wrong one is so much worse.
Ah, this line. It sounds so familiar, right? For years, this was the go-to opener. It was meant to show authority, depth, gravitas. But today, in 2026, this exact phrase is a giant red flag. Before a recruiter even gets to your skills, you've already anchored them to one thing and one thing only, your age. And that is the trap we are going to dismantle right now.
So let's really frame what we're up against. There are three big problems that make writing a cover letter feel like walking through a minefield, especially when you've got a career's worth of experience to talk about.
First, the rules are just all over the place. One job demands a ladder, the next one says please don't send one. And that little optional field, it feels like a trick question. Second, what I call the age amplification effect. All those words that feel natural to us, like seasoned, veteran, decades of experience, they're actually triggering age bias. And third, it's just a gamble. A really good letter takes hours, and you could be pouring all that effort into an application where it's never even seen by a human.
And this is the mental shift we all need to make. We have to stop thinking in terms of yes or no. The real power, the real strategy, comes from knowing exactly when to put in the time for a huge return and when to just move on.
So to make that call, you need a system. A clear, simple decision matrix that tells you, based on the situation, if a cover letter is your secret weapon or just a total waste of your precious time.
All right, let's break this down. On the left side, these are your absolute green lights. Always write one if you're changing careers. It's your only chance to tell your story. Got a referral? The cover letter is where you name drop your contact. Small companies, senior roles, you bet. The odds of a key decision maker actually reading it are way higher. And that optional field? It's not optional, it's a test to see who's willing to do the work. Now, on the right, these are your red lights. High-volume jobs at huge corporations, it'll likely get lost. If the posting says, no cover letter, for the love of all that is holy, listen to them. For deep tech roles, your code is your cover letter. And staffing agencies, they usually just strip it out anyway.
Okay, so for all those green light applications, you can't use the old methods. You need a new, age-neutral formula. This is a super precise 3-paragraph structure that's designed to do one thing: bypass bias and get you noticed for the value you bring right now.
The whole thing is just 3 parts. Easy to remember. Paragraph 1, the hook. This is about them, not you. Why this company? Paragraph 2, the bridge. This is where you connect their specific problems to your specific quantified proof. And paragraph 3, the close. This is all about looking forward, projecting energy and the impact you're ready to make.
Let's look at that hook in action. That last line, I suspect your team is facing similar scaling challenges, that is pure gold. You see what it does? It immediately makes it about their problem. You're not starting with a history lesson about yourself, you're starting with their current reality. You're a problem solver from sentence 1. It's all about relevance, not chronology.
Now, the bridge. This paragraph is pure evidence. It's where you bring the receipts. The formula is so simple. You state a need directly from their job description, and then you immediately hit them with a hard number, a quantified result. Their need, your proof. You need X, I did Y. You just do this a few times with your biggest wins. It's bulletproof because it directly answers the hiring manager's only real question. Can you solve my problem?
And finally, we bring it home with the close. The wording here is so crucial. A phrase like, the playbook I built, doesn't just talk about the past, it frames your experience as a replicable system for success. It's all about forward momentum. It focuses the entire conversation on how you're going to help them in the future. This is confident, energetic language that completely shatters any tired old stereotypes.
Think of these as your new 10 commandments of cover letter writing. Burn them into your brain. The core idea is simple. Lead with what you accomplished, not how long it took you. Use active, energetic language. And always, always make it about them before you make it about you. This is not your life story. It's a sales pitch to solve their problem.
Of course, before any human lays eyes on your masterpiece, it has to get past the gatekeeper, the robot. So we have to talk about applicant tracking systems, or the ATS, and how they actually handle your letter.
Yeah, they're not all created equal, so your strategy has to adapt. If a company uses Workday, your cover letter is basically a separate file. That means your resume has to be strong enough to get through the scan all by itself. But if they use Greenhouse, the letter often shows up right next to the resume. That's a sign to invest more time in it. Lever often doesn't even have a field for a letter, so don't try to force one in. And with iCIMS, it might get scanned for keywords, so think of it as a bonus document to sprinkle in a few extra relevant terms.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. This sounds great, but it also sounds like a ton of work for every application. Well, it doesn't have to be. The key is to build a repeatable system that lets you create the main parts once and then customize them super fast.
Here's the whole system. 4 simple steps. First, you build a modular template with the 3 paragraphs and pre-written bullet points for your biggest achievements. Second, for any job you see, you use that 2-minute decision filter to decide if it's even worth writing one. Third, if it's a go, you spend just 20 minutes tailoring. Find one insight for the hook and plug in your achievement bullets. And finally, before you hit send, you do a quick 3-minute scan for any of those banned, age-biased words.
At the end of the day, you have to think of it like this. A killer, strategic cover letter gets the hiring manager to stop scrolling and actually click on your resume with real interest. It kicks the door open. But then, your resume has to walk through that door and close the deal. It has to be just as sharp, just as optimized, and just as age-neutral. That's why making sure it's fully dialed in with a tool like PassScan is so important. It guarantees your resume can deliver on the promise your amazing cover letter just made.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's time to stop using brute force and start using strategy. Stop burning yourself out writing a letter for every single thing you apply for. Instead, channel that valuable energy into writing a truly powerful, targeted cover letter for the opportunities where it will actually make a difference. That, right there, is how you make your experience your single greatest asset in today's job market.